Hi there, and welcome to Content Marketing. I'm really excited about this module because it's absolutely central to your SEO. I know I keep saying that about everything, but simply without content, Google cannot find you. It's that simple. Now, what I'm going to go through here is you've probably heard the term content marketing. It's not a fad. It's actually really, really important. And what I'm going to do is, again, tell you the why content marketing is important. And I want you to think back to one of our original videos where we talked about how marketing has changed and how Google finds you. Google finds you through content. And if we think back to think how that is, it's how they get those machine learning algorithms to figure you out. So content is not just a one-stop shop. You just don't load a whole heap of content and off you go, Bob's your uncle. You have to do this as much as you possibly can. The reason is that the Google algorithms and robots are crawling your site on a regular basis. And these machine learning algorithms use the content to, hone in and get a finer and clearer picture of what your web pages and what your website's all about. It's how it gains confidence. It's how you create trust, reputation, and authority in the eyes of the search engines. And through content, Google will be able to hopefully trust you enough to present you in a consumer search. So remember, you need to push content out there in order to, get ahead of your competitors. And as I keep saying, yes, it's not a silver bullet, it's a little bit of work involved. But without marketing, hey, you don't have sales. It's as simple as that. Let's get to it. So again, it's the centerpiece. It's how you build trust, reputation, and authority. And the key here is to really create useful, meaningful, and relevant content. Content that is really useful to your potential customers or your current customers. It can be as simple as this silly little photo of my husband and my daughter at Timbertown in Wauchope. It shows us having fun. It can be a little more complex. It can be DIY videos if you're a plumber. It can be a whole range of things. We're actually going to do a separate module on that. So the way that you create content is, the way I do it is I work with a content calendar. And personally, I have a theme per month. So for example, I might talk about Google Plus for a month or Google My Business for a month. And those things I can create little images, I can create little DIY videos, I can do a short podcast, I can do a blog post, I can do a whole range of, content outputs that talk about that. And that hopefully will position me, one, as an expert for small businesses on that Google Plus platform. So the other thing a content calendar does is it helps you get focused. You're not sitting there every month going, oh, what am I going to talk about today or every day? So it's really important to have some element of planning to keep you on track. Planning undoubtedly does keep you on track with this stuff. There's a lot to think about, a lot to absorb. So planning is really, really important. Now, Google has recently said, and they place importance on certain factors at various different stages, and that's what the lab's all about. I will update you when things change, and they do change. But at the moment, what Google is telling us that the two most important factors for you in terms of marketing and contributing to your trust, reputation, and authority is building content and links pointing to your site. Now, the two go hand in hand because if you have fabulous relevant content, that is automatically through social media, which you're going to learn in the next module, will create links pointing back to your site. So it's really a complementary two-point system here within the five-point system. So I want you now to imagine Google, not just a search engine, it's the answer engine. People type in questions they want answers to. So what we can do, if you want to think about creating content, is write down your frequently asked questions. What are they? Make sure you really think about your customer, think about your inquiries, think about your sales phone calls, whatever it is. What are they asking you all the time? These are ideas for content, and you can deliver them in any number of ways, which we'll talk about shortly. Now, we talked about micro moments in mobile. What I would suggest right now is try and really, create your content around the micro moment, because that's when we're doing a lot of our searching, a lot of question asking on the internet, if you like. So it's really important that you think about delivering your content in kind of those really short, snappy, easy to digest formats, like lots of, good little infographics or memes, for example. They're quite easy to create. Little short videos. Again, you can do those on your phone. It's really important to be, as we know, be there, be quick, and be useful. So, really important stuff here. Now, here are some of the outputs. I have a few different websites, and, some of them, are not very sexy topics. Some of them are very sexy topics, like travel, for example. I operate in both business to business and business to consumer environment, and sometimes you need to adapt what you do, but essentially you can pretty well use the same outputs whether you're B2B or B2C. So if you have a look at the one here I've showed you in the image, this is one of my business to business blogs where I talk about a whole range of things, and we do blog posts, we do short videos. I literally sometimes, and this is really amazing, do a talking head video into my computer, and this 2 or 3 minutes, I'll do a quick fact, a quick, interesting fact or interesting trend or something that's happening for a couple of minutes, and I'll post it. It gets that simple. So if I can do this, you can do this as well, okay? So, anything like that, or, you can write a blog post. Now, everyone starts whinging when I talk about blog posts. It can be as long or as short as you like. Just make a start. Just, if it takes you a whole month to do your first blog post, that's fine, but at least try and get into the habit every day of creating, a couple of words. Or some people also, what they do is they'll talk into a dictaphone. You can get those transcribed and edited really, really easily. Video, I've talked about it time and time over. Images of where your work, images of the end result of your work. I have a client who is all about awnings. Images of finished product is also really, really good. It helps customers imagine what it's like to work with you and imagine the types of results that they will get. PDF itineraries, if you're a tour company, for example, and also have a look around you as well. You want to try and also position yourself perhaps as a go-to person for your suburb. So if you're a real estate agent, don't just talk real estate. Talk about the stuff that's happening in your suburb. Become a real specialist about, say, where I am, Marrickville or Newtown. Talk about when there's local markets, when there's festivals, when people are doing great things within your suburb. Local theatre, all those sorts of things. And the other side of content is user-generated content. Now, Google and the search engines look very, very favourably upon user-generated content because it's genuine. It's from somebody who's experienced your product or your service. So at this point, I want you to think reviews, reviews, reviews. Not just Facebook reviews or TripAdvisor reviews, but Google My Business reviews, okay? So really important. And the more reviews you get, the more reviews you get on Google plus Google My Business, the more Google is going to get to know you and trust you, okay? Really, really important. So, I guess going on from what I was saying before about quality and, writing content, Because SEO and content creation are closely linked, you don't want to create crap content. So here I am saying, yes, push out as much content as you possibly can, but push out quality content. So in the beginning, if that means that it's going to take you a little bit longer, please just let it take a little bit longer and become comfortable with creating content best you can. Now, another thing in saying that, remember, you're starting out. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be polished. But is it useful? That is the ultimate question. So, that sort of DIY content lends a certain authenticity to it that highly polished productions don't. So please don't not post stuff because you're a perfectionist. Just post it if it's doing your job. But on the other side, don't post it if it's crappy content, because that could also do damage. There's a fine line. So the other thing with blog posting, long content is not the same as quality content, and research time over shows this. So as I keep saying, the best way to evaluate your content is with some of these questions. Is it helpful? Is it useful? And is it interesting to your personas, to your target audience? Does it conform with your marketing goals? So some of your marketing goals could include creating community around your brand. I see a really great example in my local area. They're pet sitters. They have a fabulous Facebook page and they showcase all their pets and their local advocates for a whole range of things. That stuff's great. Substantiating the need for one of your products or services. Again, trying not to be so factual, but be a little bit emotional. Think about some of those emotional elements of your brand, the benefits. And you might want to build your brand reputation and your trust. This is laying a really good grounded platform to move forward. And I imagine a lot of you will probably start with this particular goal in mind. So the other thing to think about, is it unique to stand out from other content from your competitors on a similar topic? Now, I'm just thinking about my suburb right now. There's a lot of pest controllers where I live. Yes, there's a lot of pests. There's a lot of old houses. There's a lot of spiders. I know people overseas are going to freak. But yes, we have redback spiders. We have funnel webs. We have deadly spiders. We have a whole range of pests that we have to deal with here in Australia. In my suburb, there's a lot of pest controllers. And, how on earth do I choose between them? Because they're all offering similar prices. They're all telling me that they're offering great service. But how can I create, remember in your branding, that positioning that differentiates me from all the other pest controllers? And this could be done through information on, for example, DIY videos or blog posts on how to maintain your garden, how to de-risk your home with pests so that it doesn't cost you a lot of money. So make sure that the content is interesting and helpful and meets your marketing needs. A lot to do there, isn't there? So there's room for both long and short written pieces of content. So make sure you vary your written content. So, don't say something in a long-winded manner if it only takes a couple of paragraphs. So many people are creating content now. You really, truly have to be, pushing out really good quality stuff. So in short, your simple garden variety content isn't going to cut it. Hundreds of people have covered this content before, so you really have to think long and hard about how you're going to create your content. One of the things is visual content. Again, if you're not up to writing, visual content is awesome, and we've covered this off in the visual component of the course. You're going to get more traction if you concentrate on quality images and great videos. Now I see so many terrible, poor, faded images still. Again, we have our phones. Let's get clicking. Let's get some really fantastic photos demonstrating the benefit of your business and your brand as soon as you possibly can. Now, I've mentioned this. You may have seen this in my original presentation. I love this website. It makes me want to go to Barbados. I'm not going to go there in a hurry because I simply can't afford it right now in my life with 3 kids, and we're so far away from Barbados. It's the time too. But, you know, it's a really beautiful visual site. I know it's Barbados. You might be a plumber or an electrician, but you can see how the visuals in this site really make me stay on the site. And again, Google takes notice of these things. And here is one of my other websites, the mytravelresearch.com website. Again, this one's a business-to-business website. You know, we've got to try and keep it exciting at times. We do a combination of blog posts, PDFs, podcasts, videos, that type of thing. We spend a lot of time researching our blog posts, and this has really positioned us well. Now with us, this is a real sort of niche, and what we do is sometimes we do one blog post enough, but it's really, really high quality. People share it, people post it, people comment on it, they engage with our content. So Google takes that into account. So this is it. What I want you to do now is perhaps brainstorm 12 topics, 12 frequently asked questions for you to kind of concentrate over the next 12 months. Do some planning. It's really, really important. So think of those frequently asked questions. If you can't think of them, start thinking of them. You know, ask your customers questions on how they found you and what concerns they have. What are their pain points? If you can answer all of this stuff online, you're on a great path to really develop that trust, reputation and authority in the eyes of Google. And very, very importantly, I need to say here, don't forget Google+. Now Google+, as you know, gets instantly indexed by Google. You love Google, Google loves you back, and you'll have an opportunity to again be seen in search through your Google+ posts. Thanks for being with me, and I look forward to seeing your fabulous, awesome content. See you in the next video.